He's,
Okay.
you're just like Carrie. You're just like Carrie. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. It's Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, do we have minutes and reports received and filed?
We do. We have the sheriff's October 2021 fees, the treasurer's October 2021 reconciliation report, and the collector's October 2021 fees.
Okay. Commissioner Committee Liaison Reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Looks like Chamber Connections Thursday, Chiefs Association meeting Thursday. That's about it that I have on my calendar.
This evening, Loman Alderman meeting. I think Loman is the only western village slash city slash town without its bicentennial location,
Yes.
monument location.
If you could do that,
That's why I'm going.
greatly appreciate it.
Tomorrow, a SEMA meeting with Representative Griffin and a few other players. Thursday, Stormwater Road and Bridge, right, Eric? Thursday. And a Heartland Port meeting. And of course, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is MAC at the lake.
Yep. Wednesday, I have the Central Workforce Development Board Zoom meeting from 10 to noon. Thursday, we're also doing Country Ham out at Health, which is going to have conflict with the stormwater. Friday, Leadership Forum. Saturday, KWAS Christmas show over at Samuel's Tuxedos. Sunday through Tuesday, MAC. Wednesday is the Chamber Prayer Breakfast, and then we've got commission right after that. So
What time's the prayer breakfast?
7. So we'll be there, and then probably have to leave a little early, maybe. Okay, that's all I've got. Presentation from staff and invited guests, and we have our new Ludwig Holtschneider. It's our new economic development director.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yep. Call me what you want.
Okay.
So Luke Holtz-Snyder, Director, President, CEO of the Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership. If you advance the slide. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with the commission this morning. So it's been about 2 months since have been on board with the organization. It is a startup entity for economic development for the Jefferson City region. And so wanted to give the council or commission an update on where the first 2 months have kind of taken us and where we see things going over the next, couple months through the end of the calendar year. So framing up some of our strategic focus moving forward. Part of that 60 days, first 60 days has really been, as I mentioned, as a startup entity, kind of the basic blocking and tackling. So building a new nonprofit organization does require more than just, putting a name on a door and starting. So a lot of the, origination information is being developed, website, branding, bylaws, nonprofit applications to the IRS, tax exemption forms. So a lot of the basic blocking and tackling, but those first 60 days have also been spent engaging with numerous stakeholders around the community, really to help understand, where there's need, where there's value that others would, feel the value through our organization kind of taking a role and kind of moving forward on the local economic development efforts. So really using those stakeholder engagements to kind of craft some of the strategic, mission, vision, and then really what we're going to be focused on a day-to-day. So this is just a word cloud to represent a lot of those kind of common themes that were discussed and came out of those conversations. So both the good, the value, the need, what's been missing, what they're looking for from a local economic development entity. And this is a lot of what we heard. If you look at really kind of the things that stand out, looking for somebody to help facilitate, somebody to lead, somebody to engage. You can see some of the projects, broadband, MSP, infrastructure, regional in nature, but really being focused as an organization. So these you'll kind of see throughout the next couple slides, but these have really helped shape the direction of the organization and where we see kind of the vision moving forward. So there's a lot of information on this slide, and I'll kind of walk through it pretty quickly here, but if you start at the top, every organization, and us should be no different, needs to have a mission. So, why do we exist? And at the top, I think really just helps summarize why it is that JC Rep has come to become an organization. So it's to help facilitate opportunities for the Jefferson City region. It's going to come in many different ways, many different fashions, but at the end of the day, kind of our North Star, where we're going, our mission is to facilitate economic opportunities. It's going to come in a different shape based on those opportunities, but at the end of the day, that's where we're always pointed. If you go to the very bottom of the slide, that's to more represent our vision. So as an organization, what do we want to be? Who do we want to be as an entity? And so I think really being, not setting our goal, not setting our sights short, but we really want to be a go-to entity to advance these priority efforts for the Jefferson City region. So it's not, unattainable, but it is something that we're always going to be striving to achieve as an organization, but also with a clear vision of our mission. So those are just kind of high-level strategy, framework as an organization, but objectively, what does that mean? And what are we going to focus on? So if you look at, kind of the color rainbow here, but the organizational excellence, infrastructure development, community development, and business development. Those are going to be our areas of focus. What we're going to focus on is being a strong organization. We're going to focus on local infrastructure, community development, and business development. Our role in each of those may differ and vary, but really they're all action-oriented, as you'll see kind of defined below. So as an organization, in order for us to be the best facilitator for economic opportunities, we need to be a strong entity. So, we need to have our accounting and payroll, health insurance, retirement, all of those kind of basics in place. We need to have a brand. We need to have messaging. We need to have a plan. So we as an entity in building a strong organization is really one of those strategic priorities or areas of focus. Infrastructure development in helping to ensure that the Jefferson City region has adequate, accessible infrastructure to support economic opportunities. I'll say we as an organization, as a nonprofit entity, do not put in public infrastructure or private infrastructure, but how can we help facilitate a means to an end? And so many times we'll be helping to facilitate these efforts in partnership with the county, with the city, with private partners to accomplish necessary infrastructure build out. And you can kind of see some of those strategic areas that we plan on focusing on infrastructure: broadband, the Heartland Port Authority, and the Jefferson City Levee Project. Under community development, this becomes an area where I feel that we're going to be more of a support entity. As a new organization, in a lot of those engagements to understand what other nonprofit and community-oriented organizations are doing to help the betterment of the community, we're not looking to be redundant or kind of step into other folks' lanes, but what we want to be able to do is complement other efforts and also have them on board when we're taking a lead standpoint to help our efforts. And so I feel that we bring value and we can bring some contribution to the efforts on the MSP redevelopment. I think sports tourism is a huge component for the region. There's a lot of opportunity with Lincoln University and ultimately workforce development. We may not be taking the lead on these, but we will be part of these efforts in different roles and capacities. Business development, to really focus on facilitating growth from new but primarily existing organizations and businesses. The bread and butter, the growth is really going to come from who we have here today. So we want to focus on retaining them and growing them. I don't think it's going to come at any real surprise that that's what a lot of folks will associate with economic development. But the success of business retention, expansion, and attraction is dependent upon, do you have the infrastructure, do you have the workforce, do you have a strong community? So we're going to be part of those efforts to make sure that we can help contribute to a stronger community, which leads to these stronger opportunities. Pretty busy slide, so I won't go through this one in detail and to try and keep on time here, but this really defines more of what did that previous slide when we talked about the port or broadband or business retention and expansion, what are we actually going to be doing over the next 60 days? And so this is a little more tactical at that level to understand what we plan to do. It doesn't mean that we solve broadband in 2 months, but what can we do to move it forward? And certain things are going to be building the plans for some of these strategic priorities, but we will be moving the ball forward in each of those strategic areas of focus. I can share this with you guys afterwards as well. Just trying to stay on a short time frame here. And so that was it. I can go back into more detail, but to try and keep it under 10 minutes. Really the intent of today, and I look forward to future opportunities to update the commission and just partner, and even not here for just updates, but it truly is going to be a team effort to get the success to happen that we all want to see through economic development efforts in the region. Had a chance to work with each of the commissioners, and each at different times in different areas, and appreciate your engagement and your willingness to jump in. And so just thank you for the time to give you a quick update on where we've been and where we plan on going in the next couple months. Here for any questions.
I guess, Luke, under the terms of the contract, you'll be back quarterly. Is that
As often as
a
you want me to.
feature? Well,
Yeah, definitely want to give updates, and I want them to be valuable as well. At times I feel I don't want to just supply some numbers that don't really mean much, and so it's building out what are some measures, what are updates that give some of the understanding of where we're going, but ultimately engaging more than just on a quarterly basis as well.
Okay.
Well, we're working with the city on some block grants and I think those are, I think we're probably in pretty good shape on those, but in the future, if you can kind of help the city and the county on some of these too. I don't know with the new infrastructure bill that was signed by President Biden, if we're going to, I don't know. So there might be a lot of opportunities.
And there is, and so especially with any experience I've had working within the State Department of Economic Development and just coming from there, but I think coordinating among the local stakeholder groups that are working on these efforts, I think just from candidly over the past couple of months, there's a lot of effort and a lot of energy behind things, but at times it's separated. It's not actually kind of cohesive in its approach, and I think that part of that word cloud of being a facilitator is helping bring all those parts together so that it is more of a comprehensive strategy versus a lot of different entities approaching it individually.
As far as financial, where are we at? I know we had a lot of community buy-in on this, and that was one of the biggest challenges, I guess, was to get them in on this to get us to basically match the funding. And I was looking at the financials you sent from the last meeting, but that wasn't necessarily laid out in there, so do you know that right offhand?
Offhand, I'm not 100% certain, but as far as the goal prior to me coming on board, I believe that it's almost met that prior goal from
Yeah, it was
a contribution standpoint. It's a little short on the private, not much, maybe 25,000 if I remember correctly. It was brought up at the board meeting last week, but pretty close. And there's, sorry.
You were close last week with a couple important calls yet to make, as I
Yeah.
recall.
Yeah, I candidly have not approached the investor standpoint in the past 2 months. It's understanding where we're at, but kind of before reaching out to additional potential investors, it's kind of getting our roadmap in place. So being able to show what we do, why we are a strong entity, and kind of garnering some of that support before reaching out. So that is in the next 60 days is additional outreach.
The city renewed, they're on a different fiscal year than we are. They started
November 1.
November 1, so they're on board for the current year then.
Correct. They approved they approved another annual installment with J.C. Rep for the economic development contract
Right.
for fiscal year 22, starting November 1.
Got it.
And then right now, you're sharing some of the facilities and the services at the chamber, but they're totally different than the chamber. It's two different entities, so.
Correct. We are 100% separate, other than under a similar roof, completely different entities. And part of it, I shouldn't have advanced too quick, but part of the next 60 days is to lock in a long-term location. We do have a contract for services, so kind of a shared services agreement with the chamber through the end of this calendar year. Once that finishes, we look to have all of our long-term, so accounting, payroll, insurance. Some of those have already transitioned into our organization specifically, but some of those we're still utilizing the chamber shared services contract, but looking to kind of stand on our own 2 feet by the end of this calendar year.
Yeah, I just had some questions about that, or had them presented to me, and I said that you are a separate entity, but you're still sharing some of the services and, crawling before you walk or run, so.
Yeah, it was truly beneficial. Coming on, my first day was kind of seeing what was in place, and quite honestly, there was some draft bylaws and, some filed articles of incorporation. Beyond that, it allowed us to have a payroll and to have some of the necessary needs from an office location, but not intended to be anything more than short-term.
I don't think I really have any other questions. It's just kind of getting started right now.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And we just need to keep in touch and,
Yeah.
trying to work together.
You betcha. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any commission comments? Bids and contracts, signing of contract with Juniors Pro Clean.
It was voted on a few weeks ago to have Juniors Pro Clean do the ductwork up at the 3rd floor. So I have the contract ready for signature for $9,200.
Make a motion, we sign the service agreement with Juniors Pro Clean.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval and signing of renewal 2 for unarmed security guard services.
This is a second renewal for unarmed security guard services with Guardsmen Security for the services they do over at the courthouse. When they submitted their response in 2019, they did rates for years 1 through 3. The rates have stayed the same. Donnie's been okay with their services and he's approved to get it renewed. So I'm just needing approval and signing today.
Okay, I'm good.
I'm good too.
So you need the award of the contract and signing of, or the award and the signing of the contract today?
Just signing of the contract for the renewal. I don't think you have to award it again.
Okay, so it is year 3.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion, we sign renewal for year 3 with unarmed security guard services,
Guardsmen Security.
Guardsmen Security, sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval and signing of renewal 1 for heavy equipment maintenance, repair, and parts.
This is the first renewal for Fabic Cat for the heavy equipment maintenance over at Public Works. They've agreed to keep their pricing the same, and Public Works is pleased with their services. So today I'm just needing signature on the renewal.
Good.
Yep.
All right, make a motion, we sign the renewal of the contract for heavy equipment maintenance, repair, and parts contract with Fabic Cat.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval and signing of renewal 1 for medical grade oxygen.
This is the first renewal with Air Gas for medical grade oxygen. They agreed to keep their pricing the same as well. EMS is pleased with their services, and so I'm just needing signing of the contract.
We're on a roll. Good.
Yeah.
All right, make a motion to sign renewal of the contract for medical grade oxygen with Air Gas.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of application for EMPG mini grant.
Good morning. This is a
Speak up.
mini grant that comes off of our EMPG application for 2020. In this, I've addressed the needs of our warning siren system. I've put it under the mini grant as a new project, although really a large portion of it is sustainment. And what I am asking is to enhance and sustain the current system by putting in new batteries for any sirens that are over 4 years old. That's within the county. The city doesn't have a battery that's over 4 years old, and so we'll just wait until we can get to that point. And then also adding a rapid warn automated weather system. And that rapid warn system will actually take the polygon from the National Weather Service and automatically select our sirens and set those off without having intervention, so that dispatch center, while they're taking calls, they don't have to hit buttons and select sirens. It'll all be predetermined. They just have to hit a button and activate. And then there's one warning siren location that we have yet to be determined that I'm also going to apply to get another warning siren put within the county. The total cost on that, the grant itself is $50,000, but the total cost will come up to $55,378. And so I'd like to have some direction as to either trim the projects down so it meets the grant requirements, as this is a 100% grant, there's no matching. But if we do go over cost, we would then have to cover that cost either through partnership with the city or through ourselves. So I also would need some direction on that as to what you all think we should do.
I really wouldn't want to cut corners. So if it's a little bit over, I think we need to do it right. So,
Or can you cut it back at?
Well, the cutbacks that I would think would be the most appropriate would be our largest portion of everything would be the new siren. There is good coverage within the county. I think it's adequate, but, there's always room to improve that. And that would be a $38,000 cut from our ask.
I think if we need it, I think we need to do it. Make it woodpecker proof though.
So I might need to write that in there, yeah.
So then how much was the grant request? 50?
The grant request is $55,378.
And that one siren is 38,000 of it.
Yep. Yeah, they were previously 35 in the last time we got sirens, and the cost has gone up since.
When did we usually do batteries?
We do batteries between the 4th and 5th years. The company suggests anywhere after the 3rd year, but that's just a waste of money unless you're...
So how much were the batteries?
The batteries each? Oh, I do not have that amount. It was 4 batteries, and I know they were over $300 per battery, and it's 4 batteries per siren.
So there's how many sirens?
There's
4 batteries
11.
per siren, so
11 in the county.
that's $13,200 for the batteries alone. That
Right.
we're gonna have to replace regardless.
Yes,
So if
we
get
will
this
have to
grant,
replace
we're
those
basically
within the
gonna be
next year or
paying
two.
we're gonna be paying half of what the batteries would cost us. All right,
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah, it
That's
wouldn't
fine.
make sense for us not to, or to ignore the batteries
You
because
follow
that'll be
me?
a cost. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, once I say I'm good, you just press stop then. Run, man, run. I'm sorry, I was just figuring up the math in my head, so.
You're filibustering,
witness.
you're filibustering where you don't have to, I think.
And I do have
Thank
a
you,
sample
Nick.
of the application if you guys would like to review it.
I'm good with going forward with it,
Yeah,
I
so
am too.
I am too, so.
if something changes between now and then, we can just, withdraw it, but.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for the EMPG mini grant for the siren, what do we call it? Warning siren system.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, approval and signing for CDVE grants, and this is for hazmat and the sheriff.
That's correct.
Yes.
So this is for the Combating Domestic Violent Extremism Grant, which I found out about last Monday. And that doesn't give us a whole lot of time to do bids or anything else. And so we've been scrambling to try to put something together. I'm also working with the same grant with the city fire. But through the county, there's a chemical detection and identification system that our hazmat team was looking at. And this would be able to detect chemicals with the use of a hand scanner. And it has the ability to scan via laser through objects. And so it'd give them more capability to have less exposure to the chemical hazmat substance that they're dealing with. Therefore, decontamination is, an easier and more efficient process. That system, we would be applying, this is also a 100% covered grant, and we'd be applying for $69,796. It says on our agenda about signing, this is digital signature, so I would just need approval so I can digitally sign. The second one for the sheriff's office, did you want me talking about what it is, or just that it's a grant?
It's a grant.
Yep, it's a grant, and I have it here with me, so I'd be happy to let you all see what this is. But the cost would be slightly under $12,000 for that one.
And all three of these are applications to apply for these grants.
Yes.
Okay.
Just the approval and guidance.
Is there any cost on these then?
No,
We have to-
100% covered
Okay.
by the grant if approved, if the grant approves.
We like that.
Okay.
And our application for those are due this Friday. So they literally gave us 2 weeks to get this together.
Good.
Motion to approve the signing or application? What are we doing, both?
Grant applications.
Yeah, yeah.
Motion to assign the grant application for the CDVE grants, plural?
Grants, yes.
Plural. All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, signing of the final change order for 2021 asphalt overlay program project number 2021-501-1.
So I'm going to remind you, Jeff, that I have had underruns in the past.
I was just looking at this and there were parentheses around it, so I felt mad. You were on a roll.
I was. This is the change order for the final closeout documents for the 2021 asphalt overlay program. Primary reason for the additional cost of this project was the addition of Churchill Drive, a city street in Lowman, after the contract was bid. There was also differences between the tabulated and actual quantities due to irregularities in the surface and width of the roads. Now, part of the funding for the Lowman Street will be reimbursed from the village itself through the county funds. So we also had a change order on this project for striping. After discussing with our crews in-house, we decided to have the contractor do the striping at the roundabout. They use a preformed thermoplastic pavement markings versus the normal paint that we use. And then finally, there was a deduct on the project. The contractor actually finished the project 2 days after the completion date. So at $700 a day, there's a total deduct of $1,400 there. So overall, this change order is an increase in construction cost by $68,322.68.
How much was the Loman Street, do you remember? Looks like it was most of it.
It was right around $11,000, a little over, almost 12, so.
Jeff, you've been probably running a tally as the year has progressed. He's still on the good side number, isn't he? By a lot.
Yeah, we'll see what happens these last 60 days, you know. I mean, I'm fine with that. I was just curious how much that street was, because we're gonna get probably most of that back.
Everything on,
That actually gets paid to the account that goes to the villages of their $100,000. So they had money available, they just didn't let us know that they wanted to not get it on the contract.
Okay,
All right, good to go.
me too.
Yep.
I'll offer a motion to sign the final change order for 2021 asphalt overlay program, project number 2021-501-1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
Okay.
Matt.
Signing of agreement with GBH for 209-210 Adams Street.
This is the work done for 209 and 210 Adams Street, the contract with GBH. The total was $191,733, and I have the contract here for signature. They did submit their bonds and insurance and all that fun stuff.
Did they take care of the other issue that we were waiting on?
Yes,
We got a check for that already?
yes.
Greg made a call out there, and
Okay.
it's taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned that, but I didn't know we had it in hand.
We gotta keep
So,
moving on
what were
this.
the other things? There was a couple other things that we had. So did they supply the bond then?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, because that was an exclusion in the other contract. I thought we were tabling this, so I did not review it. I'm sorry.
I think I attached the bond. It should be in your emails or.
Okay, so, yeah, they had some exclusions in there. What about the overtime thing? They said it excluded overtime, and I didn't understand that.
I don't.
I have a theory, and I don't know if this is necessarily correct, but when they did the steps in front of the courthouse, because of the noise, Judge Joyce said it had to be done on weekends and after hours, so they may have incurred overtime for having that work done off hours. So in this case, at least in the Carnegie Building, there's also business there, and you'd have to ask them why they did that, but I'm thinking they don't want a situation there where they have to work at night and on weekends because it bothers the assessor's office. That's just a theory.
So is that gonna be part of the project, that they're gonna have to do it after hours and on weekends?
No.
No.
It was normal business hours.
Because the assessor's not as important as the judge?
Well, he's not there to hear it.
Well, they aren't gonna be
It's not the
they're not
same
gonna be
type of
jackhammering
work.
out steps the way they were. I mean, there'll be some noise, but it's not gonna be, I just let that go. You know, but,
My understanding in talking with Jill and relating it back to the steps at the courthouse is if we tell the contractor you have to perform, but you can't perform it between 8 and 5, you have to perform it on a weekend, and that's going to make him incur overtime. So we would be subject to that, not the total of the hours, but that half that gets added on. But we have no plans to do that.
No, and over across the street.
I don't think we plan to do that over here at the courthouse either. We never planned to make them work after-hour stuff, so I'm fine keeping it moving.
I am
And we
too.
got the other issue taken care
Yeah.
of, but I had problems with exclusions because that just opens things up. So I guess if we're gonna require them to work after hours and such, then we can discuss that at the time and go from there, so. I'll make a motion, we sign the 209 and 210 Adams Street contract with GBH.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thanks, Jessica.
Approval and signing of agreement letter from MODHSS for Wise Woman.
Hello, so this is
Morning.
just reimbursement to the health department if we have clients who participate in the Wise Woman program, and it's a healthy support options this year. So, because it is the mechanism in which we get reimbursed, we need your signature on this letter. And they had mine there, so if you just sign below it.
Yes. That's because you're a wise woman.
A motion to approve and sign the agreement letter for Mo DHSS for Wise Woman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval and signing of Cole County serving Callaway 2022 CCHC contract.
So again, this year, we're going to do the Child Care Health Consultation Program in Callaway County. They don't have the staff to do this, so our staff go into Callaway County daycares and provide training for the providers or the kids about healthy behaviors and washing hands and sunscreen and all those good things. So again, it pays for our mileage and our personal time and our supplies to go into Callaway County.
All right, make a motion to approve and sign Cole County Serving Callaway 2022 CCHC contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do we have any other unfinished business?
Look at us go. Don't slow us down, Eric.
Sorry. My math teachers would be so disappointed in me for not double checking my work. Last week, you guys signed the proposal from Turnkey Mobile for our Tahoes. Apparently, the wrong proposal was printed, so I'm asking you to re-sign this. Due to our contract pricing, the total is $11,844, not $11,304. So an increase of $540. If you would be so kind.
Third time's a charm,
Third
right?
time is a charm.
So you're not having the sheriff help you with that, are you?
I did have some issues in the past, but I'm doing much better now.
He's been awful quiet back there, so.
I'll make a motion to sign the Turnkey Mobile proposal for $11,844. This is a adjustment to the previous signed agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, any other unfinished business? New business accounts payable review.
I ask for approval of accounts payable pending review.
Motion to approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public hearing on final draft of Cole County Stormwater Ordinance, so we will open the hearing. Is there anybody here to speak on?
Seeing none, we'll just give you a quick update. We did present where we were at on the stormwater ordinance back in late September. And we've been receiving comments here and there, not too many, but we've been talking to various stakeholders and incorporating things into this as we get to the final date for acceptance and adoption of the ordinance. The ordinance as it is, I don't think changed a whole lot other than incorporating a few changes into it since our last visit with y'all. One thing to point out is during our meeting with you in September, discussion centered around the map in which this ordinance would be enacted, and by EPA guidelines or rules, it has to be the urbanized area, which on the map is shown in yellow. And we felt through various discussions and visits with stakeholders over the past couple of years when we've been working on this, that it really ought to be a buffer area around Jefferson City, because that's where the development is occurring, and that's where the development could have the most severe impact to neighboring communities like Jefferson City, St. Martin's, and then just in the area in general. So we had presented originally a half-mile buffer, but the discussion at the commission meeting last time was probably a mile buffer would be preferred. And so we have that shown on the map. That's what we would recommend at this time, is to do the mile buffer around the urbanized area or around Jefferson city limits. And this would, I think, cover the main areas that would impact the populated areas, causing stormwater problems in the future if not addressed. And so that's what we would propose at this time. Again, the ordinance as it sits is in pretty good shape. We're working with Jill for some final statute references to address legal authority in the ordinance. There's also, when dealing with stormwater quality, there's some guidelines from it'd be the Kansas City APWA Manual of Best Management Practices for Stormwater Quality. There are certain items in there that we don't want to adopt into our ordinance, so we have a policy statement that addresses only the areas that we want to adopt. And then a checklist that I presented or gave you as well wasn't included with the agenda through the email, but it's a checklist that we would use to go through as we're reviewing plats and checking all the boxes and making sure the developers are adhering to the items needed. And really, we're kind of doing this already anyway, but there's no formal checklist that we use, so that'll be just a document that we use internally. And then I believe that's about it. We will present this to the Road and Bridge Advisory Board on Thursday to get their review. Now, it's a little short time for them to actually review it, but we'll see if they got any concerns. We did present it back
Well, we talked
early
about
in the
it in
spring, I
general
think.
in the spring,
Yeah.
but we didn't have a draft at that time.
Yeah. So we've discussed it with them in the past, and so, and then next week at the commission meeting, unless there's any reason not to, we would propose to actually adopt the ordinance. If we're still kind of working on some of the legal things with Jill, and maybe we get some feedback from the Road and Bridge Advisory Board that maybe there's some concerns or some things we want to look at a little bit harder, we could postpone it a week or two. I don't think that's going to hurt us too bad, but the goal would be definitely to have it adopted this year. And if everything's good to go for next week, we'll just do it next week. So that's all I have. Christina, you got anything to add?
I was just gonna bring up that we did go through an audit of part of our stormwater program with with MDNR a few weeks ago. This ordinance not being adopted was, they were very concerned about that hadn't been done yet. I think they're actually probably waiting for us to send them the final adopted ordinance before they issue the audit report. So, because we told them it was pending and coming, and so I think otherwise they were very pleased with some of the things that we've done to tighten up the documentation of our program and that side of it. But they definitely want to see that we have some legal teeth, that we're not just doing things based on policy, but that we actually have an enforcement mechanism in place for our permit. So I think this will go a long way in that and give a very clear cut, this is what the expectation is, and this is what happens if you don't meet it.
So next Tuesday is timely enough for them?
I mean, technically it was supposed to be September 30th, but we told them that we had presented it to you prior to that. We just hadn't gotten the final version and vote done yet. And DNR so far has not said anything about that.
This might be getting too much into the weeds, and I don't want to go there, but more of a curiosity. The buffer, and the buffer, let's just say, look at it. It in circles or surrounds, maybe in circles, St. Martin's. And there's no buffer at Taos or around over there. Is it because there's no census numbers big enough over there?
Yes, they don't meet the census requirement to have an ordinance or any kind of
Okay.
stormwater management plan. Now, if they do in the new census when it comes out, if they are required, then we would come to you with a modified buffer, more or less.
Oh.
Because I think we want to, we wouldn't put a buffer around a city that doesn't have an ordinance or is not required. I guess is kind of where we're at. And so only St. Martin's and Jefferson City have it at this time.
Okay, but if Wardsville enacted one, then we would address that.
Yes.
Got it.
They can enact it without the population, I mean, if they just want to do it on their own, right? So if they want to adopt this as well, they could.
They could.
The way the ordinance is written, it is a buffer of the metropolitan statistical area, urbanized area designation. So then it really doesn't matter what the jurisdictions within that are. It has to do with that census block data that has to do with population density, where under federal law, you're required to have this municipal separate storm sewer system permit. And then we went a mile outside of that to make sure that we were addressing development that would happen immediately adjacent to that. So whether or not somebody passes an ordinance or doesn't pass an ordinance is kind of a moot point because it's based on that census data. Unless you say otherwise. I mean, you can make the buffer wherever you want it to be. We tried to find what we felt like was reasonable and fair, and also where our staff can handle the amount of work that's involved. We don't want to necessarily have to cross all of this stuff when you get out into the rural areas.
Got it. I'm good with that. If we'd have had this 20 or 30 years ago, we would have avoided some of the issues we're looking at today.
I think that's a fair statement.
Yes. Okay.
So then now if I'm gonna do a subdivision or develop something, my fees, you're looking at $300, was it $300 fee additional to review the plats and make sure everything complies? And then so that is it. And then you have your performance bond on top of that? But that's about the only thing that's different, right?
Yes, and when you think big picture, somebody developing a subdivision, there's really no cost associated for any review that we do or any inspection or anything. We probably, I'd hate to give you a number of how much time we spend reviewing these, inspecting them as they're being built. It's substantial. So the fees regarding that are pretty minimal. I think we would address fees as far as submitting that and going through the planning process when we look at updating the planning and subdivision regulations. That might catch it a little bit more. But the performance bond, one concern about if somebody does put in the subdivision and then they walk, then we're kind of left
Right.
holding the bag on it. So
Yeah,
we
I
do need a
didn't-
little insurance on that.
No, I know that's always gonna be the thing that people are bitching
Yeah.
about, is that it's just, more government overreach and taking your money and stuff, but the price tag on what we inspect, just on some of the roads like we were doing last week, I mean, they're there all day making sure that these roads, when we get ready to take it over, we're gonna be stuck with it, so.
Forever.
So we wanna make sure it's put in right. There is a variance process, so if they don't necessarily agree with it, or it's gonna be too much of a hardship, or it doesn't fit in, then they can go through the planning commission. I don't know, I kinda read through it and stuff and looked at it, I don't think it's overbearing or anything, so I think y'all did a good job with it.
Yeah,
And
thank
hopefully
you.
it's mitigates some problems in the future of stormwater, so.
The other thing that's probably different than what has been done by policy is the requirement for treatment. So we made it very comprehensive because we do have sins of the past that we're trying to prevent from happening again. As far as quantity management, reducing flooding, making sure the system is properly sized. Like I said, I think a lot of that's been done by policy already. The biggest change is that now, to meet our MS4 permit requirements and the Federal Clean Water Act, they will have to provide treatment. So whether that's through some kind of filtration, some kind of infiltration, one of the more common ones is bioretention or using plant material to deal with it. It also has to do with sometimes staging the outlets of the detention structure so you kind of stretch that discharge out over time and don't get as many flashy impacts to your creeks, and really watching the long-term quality effects off of developed areas. So that's probably the biggest change.
Yeah, like that sins of the past, so we just won't have any sins of the future.
Well, that's the goal. And that's not to say that something couldn't happen, but we do want to at least address it, and we want to show DNR that we are meeting the requirements of treating the water quality storm within these areas, so.
Cool, thanks.
So we'll, assuming everything goes according to plan, we'll be back next week and we'll do the final adoption of it.
Okay.
So then we close the hearing today then?
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
That's the only action we're doing today is we open the
Okay.
hearing and close it.
So we will close the public hearing on the final draft of Cole County Stormwater Ordinance.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, second and final reading of budget adjustment number 22.
Okay, this was for $9,286. This was a Homeland Security grant that Nick had brought to you guys, but I do need action today approving that adjustment to the budget.
Make a motion to sign court order number 22 for $9,286 for Homeland Security.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second and final reading of budget adjustment number 23.
And again, this is for $3,400. This is a grant that Nick had brought to you guys, and it was from the state Homeland Security as well. So I do need action to change the budget.
All right, make a motion to sign court order number 23 for $3,400 for state emergency management.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approval of 2022 Employee Handbook. Ms. Sheila.
This has been a long time coming. Good morning. We've been working on trying to revise the countywide handbook for a little over a year now. We're finally on the home stretch. It's not actually available for approval today. I have just a few more edits to do from Sheriff Wheeler that I need clarification on. We got feedback from at least 6 elected officials and/or department heads. Everybody was given ample opportunity to review it. We had a review opportunity in July, August, October, and now again last week. What I'm asking for today is that we set a final date for all edits to be in so that we can hopefully approve it at next session. It has been approved and signed off on by legal, and so I think we're where we need to be. My request is that once it's approved by you all, hopefully next Tuesday, that we would publish it on the website and require each of the department heads and/or public officials to make sure that all their people review it and sign it by the end of the year, with a rollout date of December 1 for accessibility and implementation on 1/1/2022.
So you don't need any action today, do you?
No action other than setting a final date for approval, which I would request to be next Tuesday. So that any final reviews or edits, if they want to request a copy of it today, I can give them one via email, and then all edits be available for implementation by Friday so that next Tuesday you all can approve the final.
The meeting is Wednesday next week, just.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes,
next
it will be
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Oh,
I'm fine with going with that date unless we find something huge in there that there's a discrepancy about, but
Jill, do you see any reason why we wouldn't be able
Keep
to
it
do that on
rolling.
Wednesday based on where we are on legal? Okay.
And this is for the commissioners, right?
Yes.
you're not gonna have ongoing.
Sheriff has asked that he be allowed to review it one more time for his edits, because I've
There's
got,
only a couple that I'll
Right.
talk with you about.
right, that I only needed
Very
clarification on.
minor.
Very minor.
Yeah, very minor.
Because I know in the past, we've had these extensive grants, from some of them,
I think you,
resulting in nothing, but.
I mean, nothing's set in stone anyway. I mean, even if you all approve this and we implement it June of next year, an issue may arise with one of these policies and we'll have to look at it
Sure,
again. That's
sure.
just the nature of business.
True.
Okay.
You have furnished us the current with a blue line or red line, which shows current and proposed differences, changes.
Yes, other than what I'm waiting to implement today, and that will be available to you again
Okay.
today for a final review.
Got it. I'm good with that.
I'm
Okay.
good.
Yep, roll.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion of maintenance on parking area doors at the sheriff's department.
Technically,
Actually, Greg sent that. Did you send it to them too?
Yes, he
Yeah.
did, he
Yeah,
did,
I think it's a great deal. I think we would push forward with it.
yes.
Speak up, we can't hear you.
I do not have a contract.
This is for the maintenance agreement.
For the 4 doors.
The $2,000.
The $2,000 each.
Yes, which is, we were just asking what it covered, and
Yeah,
It's-
that pamphlet that they sent explains it very well, does a pretty good job.
yeah.
Okay. So we don't have a contract, so are you
I do
wanting
not
us
have
just
a
to tell you to get a contract, or what action are you wanting today? To move forward with it?
To tell you the truth, if you guys would go ahead and approve getting the contract, then we could just have, once we get the contract, then Sam could just sign it and it'll be done. We don't have to come back up here anymore.
We do have a dollar amount, can we say not to exceed or something like that, or?
It's 2,000.
2,000.
We-
That was-
It's a hard and fast number?
That was the, we questioned what we got for $2,000 for the maintenance program, and they answered that, so
Very succinct.
it is, I think it's probably worth having that, so,
So they're gonna come in, the ones that we got, they're gonna do quarterly, right?
The metal doors are quarterly, the new high speeds
And
are
that's-
every 6 months.
Guess you can make the motion to sign the contract pending review of the legal.
Okay, so the doors that we're getting are, they're gonna inspect the doors quarterly, and then the actual machine that opens and closes it
The doors
twice a
and
year?
motors.
The 2 doors that are, we have 4 doors over there. 2 metal doors that are from Sally Port, they're gonna do quarterly. The new high-speed doors, they're gonna do every 6 months.
Okay, so 2 doors are quarterly, and that's where I guess I'm confused. I thought they were all the same doors.
that's a different, the big ones for the Sally Port are a different animal.
Different sizes, but they're different doors too.
Yeah.
Okay. So which ones are we replacing? I thought we
The
were.
garage.
The drives, the drive,
Yeah,
yes.
those high speed.
Then you're also gonna come in and do maintenance on the other doors?
Yes.
Okay. That's where, I thought we were just talking about the doors we were just purchasing. No.
That's why 2,000 is a good deal, because they're taking care of all 4 of the doors.
Well, it's good just to have a look at it. Yeah, okay. That's where my confusion was. I thought we had to decide to either bi-yearly or quarterly, so. So what do we don't have a contract, so we're just
So
gonna
would
say
you
we're.
make a
okay.
motion to approve the signing of the contract?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Don made a motion to approve the signing of the contract for the preventive maintenance.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. Do we have any other business before we go into closed session?
Do you want to update us?
Yes, please, please, please.
So I We have been seeing a slight uptick in cases, which is not a big surprise, as we've talked about before. Viruses, wax and wane, and it's November. This virus, like the flu virus, likes the cold. People are moving inside, so we're going to see some increases. I did just text both the hospitals to get an update because Debbie asked me, and one has 7 COVID patients and the other one has 9. They have been seeing a slight uptick in cases. I looked at the state website this morning, and it was still under 1,000 statewide, so there's like 990 COVID patients in the hospital in the entire state. I still don't, I'm not concerned, because like I said, it's going to wax and wane, and just because we have an increase in cases doesn't mean that our hospitalizations are necessarily going to go up. Hopefully cases are mild because people have more immunity, people have vaccines. I did get a question the other day about the boosters. We have seen people that have their booster and they're still contracting the virus. As we talked about, vaccine does not prevent you from getting it necessarily, but it should prevent you from having more serious health effects, although we know that some vaccinated individuals still get hospitalized for whatever reason, if they have underlying health conditions or whatever. There has been some reports statewide and nationwide about pediatric cases and how more kids are getting the virus because of school and whatnot. We're not seeing that here in Cole County. Our cases, I look at the spreadsheet every day, it's still a mix of ages. We're not seeing a big increase in the pediatric cases. We are doing booster shots, and first, second, whatever dose you want at the health department on Thursdays. We are not doing pediatric doses, partly just because our nurses are concerned about making mistakes. It's a different dose. You have to be very careful. There's already been, cases where kids were given the adult dose. We would never want to make that mistake, and we really feel like people should talk to their pediatrician about their kids before they get the vaccine. So the pediatric offices here in town are carrying the vaccine for kids, so we're sending them there. And I know, like the community health center, they're keeping both clinics separate. Pediatrics is separate than adults because, like I said, this vaccine is very complicated. It's not like the flu where you just go get one dose and you give it. You still have to use the vial within so many hours, and we would never want to give someone the wrong dose. So we're being very, very cautious about it. So do you guys have any other questions?
So are we giving on Thursday, are we doing Pfizer and Moderna?
We do not have Moderna. We have
Okay,
Pfizer
just
and we have Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
And anyone, and now they're saying you can mix. So if someone got their 2 doses of Moderna, and they want to come to us to get their 3rd dose and it's Pfizer, that's just fine. But again, because of the complicated nature of the Moderna and for right now, we're just sticking to Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
There's other places here in town that have the Moderna. It's readily available if someone wants that.
Some months ago, when you were giving some numbers about the hospitals and their patient numbers, it was also had a caveat that X% of them were non-Cole County residents. Do they tell you that anymore?
I didn't specifically ask, but I know they're still taking non-Cole County residents. And
What?
I know that St. Mary's for a while was taking out-of-state
Right.
residents or patients, but I don't know how many of those. I just asked how many they had today. I didn't ask how many were Cole County.
Okay.
And traditionally, it's been more that have not been vaccinated as well, but again, it's,
I didn't ask that information either today.
no.
And nobody is in the red zone around in our county. The different colors of where are we all green here?
We're not in green, we're yellow.
We're yellow.
Orange right now.
Okay. But nobody's red.
I don't think so. It kind of depends, and it'll fluctuate day to day, and it depends if you look at just positivity rate or if you look at cases per 100,000. If you look at cases per 100,000, we are in the red because we have over 100 per 100,000, but is that an accurate number because we don't have 100,000 people and they just extrapolate it? But if you look at our positivity rate, we are in the orange. But then our number of tests are in the green, so it really depends on which metric you're looking at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Make a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make a motion for the commission to go into closed session to discuss the following this is under 610.0 .021 RSMO, legal actions under 610.021 subsection 1, and security issues under section 610.021 subsection 19.
Second.
Roll call?
Sam?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.